there, Professor Cat, wonderful wizard of math. Today teaching you one last way to use the percent proportion equation, which is to find how many are in a whole group. What's the denominator? For example, let's say I know that there are 10 owls currently in the owlry, and that 10 owls is equal to 40% of the total owls. I can use the percent proportion equation to find out how many owls are there in all. Let's get started. So what you're going to learn today is that I can write percent proportion equations, step 1, cross multiply, step 2, and isolate my variable to find missing whole groups, or what's the value of the denominator in my equation. In our first example today, I see some fruit. It looks like 9 slices of watermelon were eaten, and that those 9 slices of watermelon represent 12% of the total pieces of fruit. So let's look at what I know. I know that we have 9 pieces of watermelon that were eaten. Yum! Shout out to Team Watermelon. This is obviously dedicated to you and all of you. So there's my 9 slices of watermelon. That's the total amount of watermelon that was eaten. And that watermelon is equal to 12% of the total fruit. So today, total fruit is what we're solving for. So I'm going to do step 1, or write my percent proportion equation. So I know that 9 slices of watermelon out of some unknown number of pieces of fruit is equal to 12%, which of course is 12 out of 100. A way I can make this easier on myself before I cross multiply is to reduce 12 out of 100. I know that 12 and 100 can both be divided by 4. So I'm going to say that since 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 100 divided by 4 is 25, I'm going to replace 12 100ths with 3 25ths. So there is step 1. I have written my percent proportion equation. Let's move on to step 2, shall we? We're going to cross multiply, and on one side I get b times 3, or 3b. Again, of course, that's my variable. And I'm going to set that equal to what I get on the other side, which is 9 times 25. I can use mental math to solve this because I know that 4 groups of 25 is 100. So 8 groups of 25 would be 200. So 9 groups of 25 would be 225. So 3b is equal to 225. Now to solve for b, I'm going to use my Muggle calculating device and divide both sides of this equation by 3. So 3b divided by 3 will be b, so I will have isolated the variable. And 225 divided by 3 is equal to 75. So that means that the total pieces of fruit, our variable b, is 75. So while we know that 9 of those pieces were watermelon, we would have to keep adding other fruits like pineapple, strawberry, cherry, until we got to 75 total pieces of fruit in order to have a whole group of fruit, all of the fruit that was eaten at the party. Let's have you try an example. This says that 40% of the ice cream eaten, or 12 servings, was blue raspberry. So I want you to follow our 3 steps of number 1, write a percent proportion equation. And remember, you should have a number out of 100 on one side, and then on the other side, your variable b, the total amount of ice cream eaten, is going to be on the bottom, and you should be able to fill in a number up top. Second, you're going to cross multiply and set those two values even. And then 3, you're going to work to isolate that variable. And once you isolate that variable, that will give you the total number of pieces of ice cream or servings of ice cream eaten. So you're going to pause the video, you're going to solve this problem yourself, and then come back and check your answers. I look forward to seeing you at the party. Welcome back. Let's see how you did at following these 3 steps. Writing your own percent proportion equation, where you knew the number, that's the part, but not the whole group, and you knew the percent or the number out of 100. Cross multiplying and setting those things even, and then isolating the variable. So we are told that 40% of the ice cream, or 12 servings, was blue raspberry. So I know that 12 servings, oh my gosh, this looks so good. I really wish we could be having a party in real life right now and eating ice cream. So 12 servings of ice cream, this group right here is equal to 40%. Let's do step 1. When writing your percent proportion equation, you probably wrote 40 over 100 is equal to 12, the number of servings of blue raspberry ice cream, over B, which represents the whole group of all ice cream. So this represents all ice cream, and this is blue raspberry. So that's step 1. Before we went on to step 2, my guess is that you probably simplified this fraction. You might have simplified it by dividing by 10 and gotten 4 over 10. You also might have simplified it by dividing by 20 and gotten 2/5. Next up, now that we've done step 1, we're going to do step 2, or cross multiply. So on one side, I get 5 times 12, which is 60. And on the other side, I get 2 times b, or 2b. I can easily divide both sides of those equations by 2. And I get that 30 is equal to b. So 30 is the total number of servings of ice cream. And what that looks like as a visual, if you're into drawing out your problems, is that we know over here we had 12 that were blue raspberry, and we had 30 in total. So we would have to add another 18 servings of ice cream. So I might have 4 of these, and 5 of these, and 9 of these. And when I add them all together, 12 plus 4 plus 5 plus 9, I get 30 servings in all. So that's how you can use the percent proportion to find the value of a whole group. Now that we are all experts at how we can use the percent proportion equation to find a missing denominator, or how many is in the whole group, you're going to write your own question in the comments below. But just like in the last video, I want you to check and make sure that it actually makes sense. So if you're telling me that the whole group is equal to 41.5 pieces of pizza, that's your answer? Okay, I could have half a pizza. Kind of weird to bring half a piece of pizza to a party, but it could work. But if you're telling me that the whole group is equal to 41.5 owls, that does not make any sense. You cannot have half of an owl. So make sure that your question, when somebody else solves it, is going to have a reasonable answer that makes sense. After you've checked that your problem is super awesome and ready to go, post it in the comments and then find one of your classmates' problems to solve also. Thank you for joining us. Have a magical day. Professor Cat, Wonderful Wizard of Math, over and out.